You're known for some pretty specific tactics in your teaching days. Yeah.
That sounds like war tactics.
You are not. It's not. It's fake, girl. Now the
I regret a lot of that. A lot. I shouldn't have let anybody go in that room to interview. Now you have to keep in mind, the kids that were cast on the show are not my best students. So they don't use the first 29 times of the tape. They use the 30th time. We were forced to stay there until someone fought. JoJo, she said she knew she was doing it. You know, Maddie the favorite. People ask me about that all the time, and it was very simple. She was the favorite because...
Why didn't you dance more? Like, I've never seen you.
I believe that one of the moms tipped off the whoever that I was making all this money. There's some things that happened in prison that nobody knows about yet. Crazy things. I thought, if I die, at least I'm on stage, right? It's crazy.
Where do you think the Abby character and energy comes from? What's the Abby Lee origin story?
That's easy. My dad told me every day that I was dumb enough to be a twin. Like, I'm so dumb, I'm dumb for two people. If I sent you down to the garage to get a hammer, you'd come up with a handful of nails, you dummy. All that, like, dumbass, ding dong, all that stuff came from my dad, you know? My mother would just kind of roll her eyes. He was one of 6 kids. He grew up during the Depression, born in 1927. You know, had to wear cereal box tops in his shoes because the soles would wear out. They had to ration food stamps for meat. They had to fight at his house for the last pork chop at the dinner table. And then when he was a young adult, his buddies and him would go to the bar on Saturday night. You got in a fight. That was like what you did. It was sport. Right? He came home with a, you know, broken nose and a bloody eye, all that stuff you hear about. He died of esophageal cancer, really horrible death, and he fought and did every experimental drug in Pittsburgh, everything that he could do. So he had to fight his whole life. The fight came from him. The creativity came from my mom. She could take a paper towel and literally make it a babushka and do a polka. She could make it an apron and do a little Dutch dance. She could make it a cape and be Superwoman. She could make it a lasso and be a cowgirl. I mean, with a paper towel. She could do anything. She was genius that way.
Your mom, was she a dance mom? Did she have your same type of energy?
She was kind. She was lovely. She had an amazing business, and I never give her enough credit, or I didn't when she was alive. Sorry, Mom.
Has never left Marianne Lorraine. When I'm frustrated, I just come into dancing school and get my tap shoes on and I bang my feet away and I just get that out of me. And then I'm happy and nice, and the moms can all tell you.
By 13, I was going to the studio like 2 days a week. I took everything, but my mom still made me be in the back of the numbers. I had to go down the mat last in acrobatics. I could never be first. You know, she just never wanted to show favoritism. But every summer, I traveled with my mom to these big dance conventions where you would go and learn how to teach. And I learned from some of the most innovative new teachers on the tour, right? The hottest, latest, newest stuff. And some of the old teachers, Luigi Giordano, Frank Hatchett. So at 13, a flyer came in the mail and it said Summer Dance Festival Dance Competition. It was the first time you saw those two words together. And my mom looked at it and said, wait, you're gonna pay people money to judge you performing. This is ludicrous. This is never gonna happen. You should be getting paid to perform. This is crazy. $1 billion industry now, $1 billion industry. So I begged my mom, can I do this? Can I do this? And she said, you wanna do a solo in a dance competition? I was like, oh, hell no. No, I wanna put a number in, I wanna choreograph a number. So she said, okay. So I took 3 girlfriends that were my age. I know who it was, Maria, Michelle, and Mary Ellen. And I put them in a trio. I taught them the dance for free, of course. And I got the costumes, I rhinestoned them, I cut the music. It was a reel-to-reel, and you put it in this metal thing and you sliced it with the razor blade, and then you taped it back together. Wow. That's how you cut the music. And I did it. I learned how to do that. And I took them to the competition, and they won. And I took that little 12-inch trophy in my hand, and I suddenly knew what I was put on this earth to do. And that was it. So most of my stories, Matt, including us meeting, start with a hot guy. So the hot guy's name is John Corella. He was a dancer, a professional working dancer. He had done the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys, all the opening numbers. He did Celine Dion, Janet Jackson, Paula Abdul back in the day, their world tours. Like, he was a successful working dancer. And I knew him since he was probably 13 years old. So I'm in Vegas at West Coast Dance Explosion, and I'm walking in the ballroom in the back, and he's walking out like, John, Abby, oh my God, hug, kiss, run, stay up all night talking. And then the next day I was leaving the hotel to go to another competition. And he was coming in, and he was like, where are you going? And I said, I have to go to another competition. He's like, what are you talking about? Your kids are here. They're amazing. They're going to win everything. I've watched your girls in the title. I go, I got some other kids. They're at another less advanced competition. So I said, come with me. And he gets in a taxi. We go down and we walk into the ballroom, and there's my little ones. And it's their first time leaving Pittsburgh. It's their first nationals. So I can't take them to the big guns. I got to take them where they're going to win. So their moms are going to be happy and come back and spread the word around town that they're the big winners. So we go in, and there's Maddie doing her little tap dance, and then another little kid whose name nobody knows, and then Nia, and then another kid who you don't know. And I look over at John, and he's like this. I said, what is wrong with you? He said, oh my God, Abby, these kids are adorable. They should be on television. And I said, let me introduce you to their mothers. So I take him in the back. It's like out to the pool deck area. I take him out, and there they are. Drunk, broke, bitching about everything. The bed bugs, the carpeting, the this, the that, the competition starts too early in the morning, it ends too late at night, the food is horrible, just everything. And we get in the taxi, we go back up, and he said, Abby, I have a really good idea. That was it. He started right then and there working on a format for a TV show. And then I went back to Pittsburgh, he went back to LA. It took an entire year. So finally, he takes the idea to his friend, who's a casting director for a little show you may have heard of, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette. Yeah. And she said, John, I think you have a good idea, but I hate kids. This is not for me. So she introduced him to the Satan guy, and together they formed a partnership. And then they started going to production companies, one after another, to sell the show. They walked into a place called Collins Avenue Entertainment. Collins never had a hit show, never had a show more than one season, and actually never had a show finish a season. And Jeff Collins gave them $3,000 to shoot a sizzle. They put the sizzle together, they send it out, and 11 networks are interested. 11.
Wow.
Toddlers and Tiaras is on. Dancing with the Stars numbers are going up and up and up. And So You Think You Can Dance is like hit or miss. One year it's great, the next year it's not. But here we go. So it goes a bidding war, and it goes down and down and down and down and down to 2 networks left. Bravo and Lifetime. And Lifetime bought the show. And 10 minutes later, it's a housewife show centered around a dance studio. Dancing's 10%, the kids are 10%, the moms are 80%. I'm not on the show. They wanted me to be an on-camera choreographer. They wanted me to not sue them if I appeared on camera, but they would try not to get me on camera, and I agreed to that. So I'm in there doing this choreography, and no one's paying me. The gas bill, the electric bill, the wear and tear, the guys with the sound, the booms, banging into the walls, nicking the paint, walking in, guys 6'3" with big boots on, with dirt and cinders and leaves all over their shoes on my floors, my dance floors that my mom and dad gave me their life savings to build my building, that I borrowed $585,000 at 21 years old to build my building, and they're destroying it. And that's when parents came to me and said, Abby, are you sure you want to do this? I said, what do you mean? It's a 6-week docuseries. It's going to be 6 weeks, that's it. But Abby, you're rewarding the people who don't follow the rules. You're rewarding the kids whose parents don't pay, and they go upstairs and brag that they got past the front desk without paying again. Now these kids are going to get more time with you and not our kids. Collectively as a group, they were talking to me. We follow the rules. We respect you. Our kids love it here. And some of the older kids, at the time, I had 27 senior company members, 15 and 18. 27 kids, and many of those wanted to dance professionally. Some of them interviewed for the show too. One kid that's in Hamilton on Broadway right now interviewed for the show. They didn't want him because his mom was nice and sweet and paid her bill on time. I regret a lot of that, a lot. I shouldn't have let anybody go in that room to interview. I should have stood at the desk and said, your bill's not paid. You can't go in there. Your bill's not paid. You can't interview. And some of those kids, you wouldn't know their names because if I would have done that. Now, you have to keep in mind, the kids that were cast on the show are not my best students. We have a clear case of that. They are not my best students. They were the best moms, and the kids never auditioned. Nobody danced. No one did a 5, 6, 7, 8. They sat in a chair next to mommy. That's all they did. Nobody danced. Now they're telling me, the network, these people I don't even know, who don't even know me, we need a new number every week. With who? What do you mean with who? With the cast. I go, they can't learn a new number every week. It takes some of these kids 6 months to learn the number, and they still screw it up on stage. If you needed that, you should have auditioned the kids, and you'd have different kids. So I'm in there. I take some other average, mediocre, intermediate students, and I bring them in to learn the dance. And one kid comes in with socks on, a big sloppy t-shirt, and their hair done. And me being me, and we have rules at the studio, I say, get out and come back when you look like a dancer. So she goes out, she texts her mom, Abby said this about me, and Abby was mean, and Abby told me this, lies, because it was on film. I know what I said. And within 5 minutes, the woman slams the door open, screaming at me. The kids in the room are like this, horrified. So I leave the room because I know she's coming in next. So I leave the room, and now she's chasing me around this big ottoman in the den. A grown-ass woman is chasing me. So I grab somebody's cell phone, one of my students, and I go into the other studio where these older kids are. I'm working with 7, 8 little kids in the big giant room, and then my good kids, my older kids, are in the little room, and I go in and I dial 911. And I said, I have this psycho woman. She is running around the dance studio. She's chasing me. She is scaring the children. Come get her. It's my building. It's my property. Cuff her and take her away. And he said, does she have any weapons? And I said, just her mouth. That was it. So when that footage went back to Lifetime, they said, who is this woman? Oh my God. We knew we had something with the moms, and the girls are cute. But this is the glue that holds this all together. They didn't have my picture. They didn't have an interview with me. They had nothing. And John said, well, that's the woman's studio you've been using for free now for a month. So that was it. That's how it happened.
Did you know after that moment that the more you showed drama, aggression, the more you'd be on camera?
I never thought of it so specifically like that. I was just me, and I blew up. And there were trigger points that they learned through the years that would get me. I mean, you have to realize, I'm talking to parents in the world, right? So I tell a kid, straighten their legs and point their feet. All right, honey, when you do this step, when you do this battement, your knees bent and your foot sickled. Then I go out and I put their hip under, I turn the leg out, I show them that it can straighten, and it's gonna be pointed, and it's not gonna fix it. Then 10 more times I say it. Now, the 30th time, I'm gonna rip their leg off their body, right? So how I use an analogy for parents is the first time you tell your child to pick up the clothes off their floor, you're nice. The 10th time, you're angry, you're livid, you're screaming now, right? The 30th time, you're gonna pour ketchup on the clothes, they're gonna eat them. They're gonna eat the clothes, that's it. And then parents get it. They're like, I get it. So they don't use the first 29 times of the take. They use the 30th time I say it. And that's where you see me explode. There were 3 cameras on me. So I went to work every day for 12 hours. There were 3 cameras on me. You're gonna get something. You're gonna get something.
Especially with you.
Yeah.
You're gonna find something.
And when they didn't get something, we were forced to stay there until someone fought or I said something. Like, just come on, Abby. Just, what do you have? What do you have? And then I'm like this, and then I start to like giggle, and they know that I have something crazy to say, and I would just blurt out some crazy line at them. But in my recent podcast with JoJo, she said she knew she was doing it, that she knew she was getting under me, and she often did it to see what I would do. I didn't know that. And then I remember the little ones hearing one of them say, our moms are fighting again, and I'm so worried that she's going to hit her again or something. and they're this big, right? They're 6, 7 years old. And I remember hearing Lily say, don't worry about it. It's more camera time for us. And I thought, well, that's a healthy attitude. There you go, kid. You're looking at this the right way.
Do you think that the stars of the show were given that platform unfairly because of their mothers being the loudest and the most controversial?
Yes. Nobody had great feet. It was a bunch of ragamuffins. I had all different kids. I didn't have Radio City Rockettes. I didn't have everybody the same height, everyone the same look, everybody same lefty or same righty. I didn't have that. I wanted that, didn't have that. Always, Maddie the favorite. People asked me about that all the time, and it was very simple. She was the favorite because her mother went and got her out of school during the day and brought her when there were no cameras, no producers, no director, no sound guys, and we could work with her. And she could learn her solo ahead of time. She could learn the part of the group dance ahead of time. And she was a good student. She wanted to be there. She loved the dance studio. It was her home away from home. Her parents were going through a really ugly divorce, and that was a safe haven. That was a place where everybody knew her name. She was little and petite and tiny and cute as a button, and the older kids would always pick her up and play with her, and they were sweet to her, and she loved that. I don't know. I think Gianna and I don't want to speak for Gianna, but I think we're very confused by it all because we were kind to her. We were good to that kid. She did get the good music. She did get the good costume. She did get the good routines. We worked our butts off with that kid to make her the best, to win. And she wanted it. When you go into a studio to teach a child that doesn't want to be there, that's looking at the clock all the time, you know it. You know that as a teacher. I get that vibe. Yep. That was not the vibe. That kid would have stayed there till midnight and been back at 7 a.m. if she could. And she never missed class. Now, other kids started to miss class because they're doing a meet and greet in God knows where all day Sunday, and they can't fly back until Monday. They miss school. Dad said, you didn't go to school. You can't go to dance class. Boom, they miss Monday. Tuesday, they do their interviews at 6 o'clock in the evening. They're not done until 8. Are they going to come to the studio for a half an hour? No. They leave. So the more you miss Monday and Tuesday, the less you improve. And that's what started to happen, and you can see that shift in the kids.
What do you think people don't understand about what it takes to be great?
It takes a theme, a story. It takes me knowing how to camouflage kids, hide them, put their best foot forward. That's what we did. We told a story every week. We made it happen. We got it out there. We made the good turners turn. We made the good leapers leap. We made the good legs do leg stuff all simultaneously. So you didn't see who couldn't do anything. Yeah, that's choreography.
Why didn't you dance? I've never seen you dance. I haven't seen footage.
It's hard. It sucks. It's hard. I don't know why kids want to be dancers. I don't know why I want to make them dancers. It's hard on your body. It's just hard, yes. I never wanted to perform, ever. That's just hard work. I never found that glory out on the stage from the audience. I found it during the awards ceremony when I won. That's what I liked. When my kids performed prior to a TV show, I was in the lobby pacing back and forth. And if people would laugh and they'd say, if you want to see the number, go out in the lobby and watch Abby because she's doing it. And I would literally do the number out. I'd even roll on the floor sometimes, and I would do the number outside. And I could tell when a kid hit the paunche, I could hear the applause, and I knew they nailed it. So, yeah, that was me.
What was the biggest sacrifice you think you made for dance?
I think that came later with the television show. I think my mom dying and me not being there. In the very end, I was there, of course. But when she was still healthy enough to do things, to go places, I wasn't there because I was shooting a show. I was on camera 12 hours a day. And for my dog, she died in my arms, and I wasn't there. Thank God we took her. We were in Fort Lauderdale, and we were filming. And I said, I'm going to take my mom and dog with us. They're going to do that, and then we'll go to Orlando to the house, and then I'll leave my mom there for, weeks or whatever. And we had the dog with us, and my mom came to me and said, there's something wrong with the dog. We got to go. We left the competition. And it's one of the very few times I ever left filming. And then the producer at the time made me put a fake dog or roll up a blanket and pretend it was the dog. And I was pushing it after my dog had passed away to film it. Sick son of a bitch. that guy. And I did it. You don't have any more fight left in you. You know, there's only so many soapboxes I could stand on and so many times I could fight to where you just got to the point. Okay, what do you want me to do? All right, let's just do it and be done. Because you just want to be finished.
You mentioned prison. What can you tell us about what happened and why?
I don't know. A nice Catholic girl from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania ends up in prison. You tell me. It was nuts. I was indicted, I think 21 indictments, and then another one later on, 22 indictments, and I actually went to prison. The closing statement of the prosecutor in court, his statement, was she a dance mom or a dance con? She sentenced me to prison because I was maybe going to walk away from a vacation home after the crash in 2008.
So I'd heard stuff about like tax evasion or whatever.
No. I paid $648,000 in tax one year. It was never anything about taxes. There were 21 different indictments on everything that we proved wrong. And at the very last moment, right before sentencing, they came in with another indictment for money that I brought home from Australia, cash that was unaccounted for, and that was $120,000. So I wrote a check for $120,000, even though I never had all of that money.
What led to taking the plea deal?
I don't know. I didn't want to take a plea. I was not guilty. It was a witch hunt, and they wanted to see me go down.
Why?
I don't know. I believe that one of the moms tipped off the whoever that I was making all this money, but the money I was making all goes through a ticketing agent called ShowClicks. So it's all there, it's all accounted for. And I split everything with the moms, 50-50. So when we went away and we did an event, if we made 50 grand, I got 25, they got 25. I paid all the fees, I paid the insurance so the kids could dance, I paid the insurance so if anybody got hurt at the event, I took all those hits. They didn't. They walked away with their half and they split it amongst the kids that were there. So I did a lot, and the court didn't like it. I don't think that I was a success story. I was sentenced a year and a day. And why they do that is because if you're sentenced to a year, you have to serve a year. If you're sentenced to a year and a day, you can serve less time, to which they told me would be 3 months. 3 months. And I thought, okay, this is a vacation, a little staycation. So that turned into 8.5 months. And there's some things that happened in prison that will be in my documentary that nobody knows about yet, crazy things. But all in all, I read 150 books. I lost 127 pounds. I was in the best shape that I'd been in since I was a kid. Yes, toned, and I used to walk around the track with 2 rocks in my hands and do this and do the arms and do this and, all that. So that part wasn't bad. Then I ended up in a wheelchair because in prison, I was taking off my medication. We'll find out why someday. I was on really huge dose of thyroid medication, and they took me off everything cold turkey with no answers to my questions. And then a month later I got out, and a week after I was out, I had the pain in my neck. And I went to 6 doctors in 10 days. 6. I went to the hospital and was admitted for 2 of those days. So that's 8 days. And one day I did nothing. And then the last day, Friday the 13th. And today, Matt, is Friday the 13th that we're filming this. So it was a little scary even driving here because I know what happened the last time. So Friday the 13th, I finally saw a spine surgeon, and he sent me to get an MRI where they put me under for the MRI because he tried to get me in his machine. I couldn't lay down. I was screaming in pain. I was a hyena. I had to flap my arms like this to even be able to get our sentence out. And then they took me to Cedars Marina Del Rey across the street from him, and they put me under, and my arms and legs were still moving under sedation in a machine. So they had to pull me out. They admitted me, and that was on Friday night, late, about 10 p.m. By Sunday morning, I was paralyzed from the neck down. Sunday night, they did emergency surgery, 12 hours. My blood pressure was 23/70 when they went in. And I never heard the term theater before. And I heard the doctor say, get the theater ready. And I thought, if I die, at least I'm on stage, right? It's crazy. Crazy.
I would love to know what you think the most misunderstood thing about Abby Lee Miller is in the public?
Wow. The most misunderstood thing about me is that I love children. I love kids. And I'm still doing what I did. I'm still with kids. I still yell at them. I still reprimand them. I still correct them. And I still love them. And I want them to be the best that they can be. I want to see kids fulfill their dreams. And if I can be a little fairy godmother and make that happen, I'll wave that wand. Anywhere, anytime, any place.